Hey everyone, Lisa Salvatore here to talk about the remainder of June, the entrance of Cancer season and the summer solstice, and also the new moon in Cancer that will close out the month of June. So today that I'm recording this video, it is June 16th, and yesterday, June 15th, we had Mars conjunct Chiron. And today's the 16th, and now we're contending with Aries joining this mix. And so what does that mean in plain English? Well, remember, planetary transits are not just like that. You know, we do tend to feel the energy for a longer span of time. And then again, of course, as you know, we all have our own unique astrological configuration, aka birth chart, that tells a story, a bigger story about why some of us feel things obviously more enhanced than others do. But the Mars conjunct Chiron and now Aries in the mix is important to mention because it's going to carry on throughout the month. And it's going to bring things up for everybody on the individual level that have to do with feelings of inadequacy or feelings of where we come up short. Now, this might not be literal. This may just be our own perception, our own personal perceptions of where we come up short. Now, realistically speaking, it can also be about things that have happened in real time in childhood or even, adulthood, where we might have been victimized by others or bullied in some form or fashion, or at least that's the perception that we have of whatever it is that has happened to us, right? And so that's going to feel different for everybody because, like I always say, what is traumatic for me may not be traumatic for you and vice versa. And what's a big deal to me may not be a big deal to you because, again, we're all hardwired differently emotionally. So the Mars-Chiron conjunction, it's in Aries. Both Mars and Chiron are in Aries. Mars, as we know, is in its true form, highest power in the sign of Aries. It's a warrior that goes to battle. That's Mars. And in Aries, it does it full throttle, okay? And so coming up with Chiron in a strong aspect, a conjunction, again, this can bring things up. This can bring in resentment, frustration, again, feelings of loneliness, inadequacy, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Now, especially if you are 50 or 51 years old, I'll even stretch that to 52. So basically between 50 and 52 years of age, you are having your what's referred to as your Chiron return. So you are definitely going to be feeling the Mars-Chiron wound transit exacerbated. Now, again, for everyone that's different. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm 51 and I'm not feeling anything, that's great. And I mean that, but it's probably not the case. And you're going to want to look to where Chiron falls in your own birth chart. That's the area of life where your Chiron has been affected. Okay. And again, this goes back to childhood. And if you subscribe to the theory of past lifetimes, it's a lot of times past life driven. And those wounds will repeat themselves in this lifetime until we go into them. So the Mars-Chiron conjunction is kind of, think about it as like somebody pouring some salt into an existing wound that maybe you forgot about or you sewed it up temporarily, and now here comes along this Mars and Chiron. And then Eris, let's not forget, Eris is the good old instigator also in Aries, and she wants to set the record straight, and she wants things to be okay, and she wants everybody to have their position. Now think about, I'm talking about these planets as if they're people, yes, because they're very strong energies that we do feel, and it's like a tug of war going on. So how do we move through pain? We have to first acknowledge it. We have to feel it in order to heal it. And that's what Mars-Chiron shows us. Now, especially if you're between 50 and 52, like I said, you're probably going to want to check, where is your Chiron? Look at the area of life look at the house that Chiron falls in. And again, I've linked below a quick tutorial on how to find Chiron in your birth chart, okay? And also I will show you how just to pop in other asteroids. It's really easy and it's free on this website, astro.com. So click below in the description box and you will see that there on how you can do that. Now, following the Mars-Chiron, there is going to be this feeling though of what is my purpose. Again, that's the Mars-Chiron. And I think that to an extent, we're all feeling like that these days, right? Especially as the world is consistently changing and everyday things are different for us, personally and of course collectively. So that question comes up a lot, what am I here for? What am I doing? And it's important to remember with Chiron, he is the wounded warrior. So we all have a purpose. We all have many purposes. We are all here for many different reasons, and we are all valuable. And it's really important to not lose sight of that, even in those moments of weakness where we feel weak or depressed or lost, because we will eventually find our way again. And that's important. That's an important lesson of Chiron, okay? it is a wound that does resurface time and time again, but it's how we work with that energy that mends it. Now, on a lighthearted note, the sun will enter the sign of Cancer on June 21st, and that is the summer solstice, the entrance of the season of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. And the day that the sun enters Cancer and we have our summer solstice, which is the longest amount of daylight that we have all year long, the moon will also be in a conjunction with Jupiter, which feels very hopeful and very optimistic, and it gives an already optimistic day and time even more of that feeling of joy. And that's what the sun is all about. It's the giver of life. It's about joy. It's about essence and vitality. And most people are very happy when they see the sun, very rejuvenated. And of course, because we do release serotonin when we spend time in the sunshine. And so what better time of year to feel all of that when the sun is at its strongest point and longest length of time here in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, besides the weather factor and the overall vibe with the summer solstice when the sun enters the sign of Cancer, happy birthday, Cancer, by the way. I forgot to say that. It's your season. It's your time to shine, the crab, Cancer the crab. Cancer is a very sensitive water sign. It's ruled by the moon, so it's extremely intuitive and impressionable and nurturing. And Cancer thrives off comfort, okay, and safety. And so when Cancer doesn't feel comfortable and or safe, that's when the claws of the crab come out and their protective shell is activated big time because they're not feeling safe. And so when the crab kind of claws at you, the reason being is because they don't feel that sense of safety and security that they long to feel all the time. Now, the summer solstice is a celebratory event. It has been for ages and in every culture across the world. So we have 2 solstice points and then we have 2 equinoxes. And these are what we call the celestial checkpoints of the year. This is significant passages of time where the energy is palpably felt as a shift, because there is a literal shift. There's a literal explanation to what happens at the solstice points and at the equinox points. So think of it like this. The Earth's axis is tilted at approximately 23 degrees, 23.5 degrees from the plane of its orbit around the sun. And so 2 times a year, the Earth's axis is tilted neither here nor there, neither toward nor away from the sun. And so that results in an almost exact equal amount of daylight and darkness at all latitudes. And these are the equinox points. These are the equinoxes, the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. The spring equinox is March 20th, and that's the entrance of Aries season. Aries is the cardinal sign that initiates the spring season in the Northern Hemisphere. And then the autumn equinox is on September 23rd, and that's the entrance of the sun into the sign of Libra. And these are the equinox points where we have equal parts of day and night, equal parts of light and shadow. Now, the solstice points are different. The solstice occurs at the very moment where the Earth's tilt is toward the sun. It's at its maximum at this point, the tilt. It's at its maximum point toward the sun. And so the sun appears at its highest point in the sky, resulting in the longest period of daylight all year long. The longest amount of daylight for the entire year. That is the summer solstice, and that is June 21st. Excuse me. And then we have the winter solstice, which occurs in the opposite sign of Cancer, which is Capricorn, and that is December 21st, okay? And that is when the sun is at its lowest point, okay? Where we have the maximum amount of darkness, okay? So that's the winter solstice. So anyway, those are the 4 points, the celestial checkpoints. But spiritually speaking, there's a lot of energy that happens around these times, and we feel it physically in our bodies. Make no mistake. The energy is ramped up around the times of these portals of energy. And so, for example, right now, all month long, basically since, I would even say April 30th, when we had the eclipse in Taurus, when we had the lunar eclipse in Taurus, there has been, the solar eclipse in Taurus, there has been an influx, an incoming of very strong energy from the earth, and it comes into our body. And I'm trying to describe this in the most, basic way possible, but what happens is our physical body, our vessel, feels this. We get hit with this energy. And so what happens when this occurs? Ringing of the ears, nausea, headaches, vertigo, digestive trouble, all kinds of symptoms that can be even flu-like by nature. Now, again, of course, disclaimer as always, you must make sure you're not actually sick, because yes, of course, there are real viruses, diseases, things of that nature that of course you don't want to just automatically assume, oh, it's energy, I'm fine. No, if something's going on, you always want to get checked out. But provided that you've done that and you know that you're not sick, chalk it up to the intense energies. The ringing of the ears is huge right now, and I also know that the stomach stuff is huge right now. You have to remember that our bodies are constantly clearing energy. Energy needs to move, okay? It's like anything else that gets stuck or gets stagnant. It needs to move. And so when it doesn't, that's when we feel all of these symptoms. And to be honest, there's a huge purge that's taking place for everybody, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Whether you're consciously aware of that or not all the time, we are constantly shifting, okay? And we're constantly regenerating, and we're on the spiritual level, clearing out years of outdated conditioning, outdated thought patterns, outdated behaviors. Even when we're not cognizant that we're doing this, we do this in our dream space. We do this when we're sleeping, okay? I work with many clients, and I have to tell you, it's astounding the level of ascension that's taking place, okay? Where everyone is beginning to recognize, rising up, there's so much more to life than what I'm doing right now, than this reality. And that can be a really enlightening, liberating, positive feeling. But with that comes like a clearing of the old way, where you sit there and say to yourself, okay, what the heck am I doing? Who am I? That kind of ties back to the Mars-Chiron conjunction that I spoke about at the beginning of this video, okay? Who am I? What am I here for? What is my soul's purpose? And again, that's for you to answer, okay? But we all have many soul purposes. And again, with the summer solstice, it's probably a really good idea, because this is a very positive entrance of energy, okay? It's probably a really nice idea to get out into the sunlight as the sun is setting, actually. And, if you have a fire pit, even better. Sit there, chill out, take out a notebook. Really be one with the sun and one with yourself, with your soul, because the sun is soul, right? That's the word for the sun. It's spelled differently, but it's the word. And be with your soul and really sit there and be real, be honest with yourself about where are you right now? What do you still wish to bring in, and what do you know deep in your soul needs to be released? Behaviors, whatever it is, to help propel you forward. Because I will tell you that as we get to July, especially towards the end of July, there's going to be a very strong emphasis on the future, the destiny of the collective, absolutely, but more importantly, for you, for your soul, for your trajectory. So it's really wise to, be honest with yourself about what is and is not working, and what's realistic for you to make what your soul is craving. What is realistic for you to get to that, to get there, okay? Because there are going to be ways for you to do that, and there are going to be ways for you to drop any baggage that's not helping you along on your path, on your trajectory, on your soul's mission. The summer solstice is a very celebratory time. It feels good. It feels rejuvenating. And, the ancient Romans actually used the summer solstice to honor goddess Vesta. So they had a festival that they actually called Vestaria, which was where they honored Vesta, who is the goddess of the hearth. She's the goddess of the home and of health. And Vesta is what we burn for, what is sacred to us, what's important to us to protect, of what is ours. And so along with looking at where Chiron falls in your chart, you should also look for Vesta. And again, I will show you that. It is linked in the video that I talked about below. But that also, the area where Vesta falls in your chart, you want to look there to see if you resonate with her message. Is this place in my life, is this very sacred to me? Do I feel protective here? What do I need to do to get to that feeling that I want, right? That's Vesta. So again, check that out, Chiron and Vesta. And then also look at if Vesta is doing anything with your other planets, because if she's working with your sun or your moon or your ascendant or your Mercury, that'll give you a deeper layer into her mission in your life, okay? And again, for everyone it's different. So I'm not saying that you will resonate with it, but if you do a little bit of digging, you more than likely will find that you do. Then on June 23rd, Venus enters the sign of Gemini for the next few weeks. And Venus in Gemini she likes to talk, right? Venus is how we connect. She's fun. She's expressive. She's about what we like, what pleases us. And in Gemini is a very intellectual and communicative air sign. So Gemini likes to flit around. I always use the analogy of Gemini energy as going from flower to flower and just, getting into everything that they can and spreading their energy everywhere. That's Gemini. They like to talk and they like to be in the know. So while Venus is in Gemini, it's also not a coincidence that the summer solstice occurs and then Venus enters Gemini, and we will all feel this energy of, I want to get out there. I want to put myself out there a little more than I have the past few weeks. And if you're not feeling like that, you may start to feel it at least for a day or two, somewhere in the mix, if you're not feeling it at all. Or maybe you're feeling it more strongly, but usually when Venus enters Gemini, there's this need to want to communicate. There's a need to want to talk, express ourselves. Very, very common with Venus in Gemini, especially if you have your Venus in Gemini. Okay, now I need to mention that Neptune will station retrograde on June 28th. So Neptune, the planet of illusion and disillusion, the dissolving of what's true and what's not, sorting the wheat from the chaff. Neptune can be at its highest vibration. It can be romantic, it can be poetic, it can be intuitive and creative and really, really sweet, right? And it can have us looking at things through rose-colored glasses, which is not always a bad thing. But the shadow side to Neptune is that there can be illusion, there can be deceit, there can be confusion, there can be fog. And the objective of Neptune is to dissolve. That's one of the key words for Neptune. So this is to sort out what's real and what's not, what's fact, what's fiction, what's true and what's not. Not only out on the world stage, but for you personally. So Neptune will station retrograde at 25 degrees and 27 minutes of Pisces, and will retrograde back to 22 degrees 39 minutes of Pisces, and then we'll station direct not until the end of December. Not the end of December, the beginning of December, December 3rd. Now, Neptune retrograde happens every year. It's a significant span of time. So, I'm not going to say it's not that big of a deal, because it is, but it's not as strongly felt as like Venus retrograde or Mars retrograde, okay? A lot of people are born during Neptune retrograde. But I will say, while Neptune is retrograde, things can definitely feel more confusing. Psychic ability, intuitive impressions definitely ramped up, especially in the dream space. Lots of information is coming through. And with Neptune retrograde, it's up to you to decide, well, was that a message or was that just my subconscious? Am I trying to work this out? Keep a dream journal. I've been saying that all year because it's been insane, right, with the psychic stuff. But keep a dream journal if you've never done it before, and just go back and look and pay attention to what comes up for you. Now, if you are a mutable sign, which is Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, or Virgo, or if you have any points or placements between 20 and I'd say 25 degrees of any of those signs, so if that's your moon, say you have a Gemini moon at 23 degrees, if your Neptune, your natal Neptune, which is your birth chart Neptune, is in Sagittarius at 22 degrees, you're going to feel the Neptune haze, okay? The Neptune fog. And Neptune is deep, right? Neptune's water. Neptune's deep. So it's not bad. It's just a lot. And when it comes at you by a square aspect, which it does do if any of your points or placements are in Sagittarius or Virgo, especially, because that means Neptune in Pisces is going to it's going to oppose what you have in Virgo, and it's going to square what you have in Sagittarius and what you also have in Gemini. And again, you'd have to be within those degrees, though, to really feel its impact more strongly. So outside, if it's early degrees or later, you're probably not going to feel it that much, but the closer you are to the degrees of 22 and 26, 27, you're going to feel the Neptune haze. And so I just want to remind you of that, because it is a lot easier to get misled or to think things are one way and then you wake up from this dream to find out it's really been a nightmare, So again, move cautiously, right? Move optimistically, but move cautiously. That would be my advice for the next couple of months. Especially when it comes to health related. I need to say that because now it seems like the world is kind of, opening up again, and people are traveling, and yes, that's all wonderful, but it's still very important to remember to remain cautious, okay? There's still a lot going on. There's still a lot going around. You have to protect yourself, and we have to protect each other as well. So it's really important to remain mindful every step of the way about everything. Health, wealth, everything, okay? And then we get to the end of the month, June 28th. We have our new moon in the sign of Cancer. This new moon takes place at 10:52 p.m. Eastern Time on the evening of June 28th. This is a new moon that's geared towards growth, abundance, and fertility. So I'm just going to say, if you are trying to have a baby, this is an excellent new moon to really focus on that and do some sort of a ritual besides the obvious ritual, because it's an abundant energy. It's Cancer. Cancer is the sign of motherhood, femininity, the mother, the nurturer, the moon. It's all connected, okay? So good time for conception. It's a really great time for fertility. Not just baby fertility, by the way. If you're birthing a new book, if you're birthing a new business, a new adventure, whatever it is, really awesome new moon energy to put your intentions out there. It's a new moon. New moons are all about bringing in the new. It's the beginning of the lunar cycle. And this one takes place at 7 degrees and 22 minutes of the sign of Cancer. Let me pull up the chart. So here we have our chart for the new moon in Cancer that takes place June 28th, 10:52 p.m. Eastern Time. We see over here we've got the sun and the moon conjunct each other in this chart, which is what happens when we have a new moon. The sun and the moon align in the same part of the sky. They harmonize at 7 degrees and 22 minutes of the sign of Cancer. Now, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the moon loves to be in the sign of Cancer, so therefore, this is a good new moon. It's nice. Fertile would be the word I would use on every single level. And it brings in with this energy of creativity, abundance, and joy, okay? Also sensitivity, enhanced and increased sensitivity could also have a bit of anxiety present with it because of all the energy, of all of the emotional energy. Remember, the moon moves quickly through the sky. It changes signs every 2 to 2.5 days. And because Cancer is ruled by the moon, that's why Cancers are known to be moody, because their moods ebb and flow like the tides, like the changing of the moon. And so while the moon is in Cancer, you may find yourself extra sensitive, extra weepy, extra emotional, maybe extra loving, extra compassionate, or extra angry and irritated. And it could be a combination of all of the above, and most likely will be. Cancer moons tend to make us feel tired. So if you do feel more tired, that would be the reason. They just kind of make us want to go in our shell, like their symbol, Cancer symbol is the crab, right? So we could feel like we want to hibernate a little bit under this energy, especially after coming off of the entrance of the summer season, summer solstice. We may be ready to just chill and pull it back at the time of the new moon. And it's a perfect time to set intentions and do some sort of a ritual for yourself to see where that new moon falls again in your chart for you. I'll also tell you by rising sign where this new moon will fall for you. I'll get to that soon, but let me just quickly go over the aspects that this new moon is making. Now, this is a great new moon, like I said, for fertility, right? So if you're trying to have a baby, if you want to make a baby, whatever it is, great new moon for that. But it's also wise to move with cautious optimism. And I say that because the moon is in an exact square to Jupiter. So here we've got Jupiter at 7 degrees and 18 minutes. So it's almost an exact square to the new moon in Cancer. So again, Jupiter is typically very benevolent. He likes to bless us. He likes to give us something. But in a square aspect to the new moon, it's a little bit of friction, a little bit of tension, and we can have the tendency to overdo things or be overconfident. So we want to watch that. Like, yes, it's good to have optimism, and yes, it's good to wish and to do things and to dream and to hope and to really put things into action. But because both Cancer and Aries are cardinal signs, they act, right? They initiate. That's good. But we just want to watch, again, cautious optimism, because we are dealing with a Jupiter, exact square to Jupiter, almost exact, okay? So it's a pretty tight, strong aspect. It's the strongest aspect to this new moon. Now, the other thing about this new moon is that it's conjunct Black Moon Lilith. You can see right here. Here's Black Moon Lilith at 18 degrees and 38 minutes of Cancer. Who is Black Moon Lilith? Okay. Very, very short explanation. In mythology, Lilith is known to be the original wife for Adam and Eve, and she would not comply with the rules. Okay, so she left the garden. She was thrown out of the garden because she did not comply, basically. So the mythology goes. So Lilith is that part of all of us. She's that rebel inside of all of us, male, female, masculine, feminine. She's that feminine rebel inside of all of us that just wants to be free to do what she wants to do and to express herself. She's known as like a darker goddess because she brings up the shadowy stuff, the shadowy material inside of us that we necessarily don't want people to see, or maybe we deem it as inappropriate. That's Black Moon Lilith. So the new moon's conjunct Black Moon Lilith. So this could bring things up about repression of femininity, And we can take this out to the world stage of what's going on. I don't need to go there, but we can see a lot of this coming up and playing out. But for you personally, it can bring things up about repressed femininity, or where you feel you've put some of your feminine side away for fear of showing people who you truly are, or being a bad girl or boy, whatever. That's Lilith. So conjunct this new moon, some emotions might come up around where have you been hiding some of your light that you perceive to be dark, okay? And maybe it is dark, but whatever it is, it's a part of you. And so it's important to acknowledge that and work with all that you have. And then the other thing here is that we are still dealing with the Mars-Chiron conjunction, although the Mars-Chiron conjunction is kind of separating at this point. So however, Aries is conjunct Mars, okay? Aries is the sister to Mars, okay? Let's not forget. So Aries and Mars are working really closely together, okay? That's a hot aspect. That's like, that's fighting, okay? And I could see this as, civil unrest in some cases, okay? There's something here, there's an energy here about fighting for what's right, fighting for what's just, but it's in Aries, so it's like everybody wants what they want. Everybody wants what's theirs. Now, that might not be what's right for everybody, but because remember, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's all about me. I am, right? So Aries conjunct Mars in the sign of Aries, this is a powerful energy, okay? And let's not forget that Aries is still in a square to Pluto, in an operational square to Pluto. So we've got Pluto pressing the button on an already hot aspect of Aries conjunct Mars. Now, hopefully this will not be anything too severe. It may play out for you personally by the way of maybe some angry words with somebody. On the world scale, again, there could be something here about civil unrest. I mean, that is what this energy is moving toward. It could have something to do with femininity, feminine rights. Wouldn't be shocking, wouldn't be surprising if we hear more about this. So again, but with this, because it's a new moon, might be a good solution. So that's the positive side to all of this energy. And Saturn is still squaring the nodes. Saturn over here at 24 degrees of Aquarius is still in a square to the south node at 21 Scorpio and the north node at 21 Taurus. And so again, there is still this element of restriction that is present. So again, move with cautious optimism. This is a time of year where everybody goes away on vacation and lets loose a little bit and has more fun, and that's all wonderful. But again, just don't lose sight of what is still going on around us at this time, okay? And with the square to Jupiter, we'll be reminded if we take it too far. So be careful, that's all. Just be mindful. A little extra mindfulness never hurts us, right? Oh, and to bring us back to Vesta, the new moon in Cancer is in a supportive trine, a supportive aspect to goddess Vesta, goddess asteroid Vesta here at 8 degrees of Pisces. So that pulls in more to what I said earlier about looking to your chart where Vesta is to see where in your life, like obviously you know what's important to you, but this could just give you more of an idea of what you want to bring in for yourself. And with this trine to the new moon and its water energy and it's very intuitive, it is sweet energy that could just give you more heartfelt, soul-felt, more soul-driven action at this time. Okay, so now let's talk about where this new moon will be for you by your rising sign. So if you're an Aries rising, this new moon will take place in your 4th house, okay? Now the 4th house is the natural home of Cancer. So this is all about your security, your safety, your nest, literally like your home. Maybe you want to redecorate your home or bring something new into your home environment. It might be a puppy, maybe a new child, right? This is Aries, this is the 4th house. This is, again, this is the house of Cancer. So this is all about nurturing and security and safety on all levels. This is about family, not only a family of origin, but also your chosen family, the family that you choose in this lifetime. There also could be a lot of situations concerning that for better, good situations, getting together with family. Maybe you decide at this time that you want to do 23andMe and look up your genealogy, look up your lineage. All things that could come up under this new moon energy for you, Aries rising. Taurus rising, this new moon takes place in your 3rd house of communication and short distance travel. Also siblings and cousins fall under this energy, community. So having a new moon here is really nice to express yourself. Maybe you're writing a book, maybe you're, looking to put more things out into the world in the form of communication. Perhaps you want to start a podcast, you've been sitting on that. This would be a really awesome time to put those dreams into fruition, Taurus rising. Also, if you want to reach out to that long lost cousin that you haven't spoken to in years, or a sibling that you need to mend fences with, a really good new moon to look into the dynamics of those relationships to see if they're fixable and what you can do to work those out, especially if you want to, because you're probably going to be feeling really emotional about that, Taurus. Gemini rising, this new moon takes place for you in your second house. The second house is all about our finances. It's about what we have. It's about what we value. It's about what is ours and what's important to us. It's also about our sense of self-worth. So this new moon in Cancer is probably a really good time to get real about your finances, look things over, see how you've been spending money, or where you need to maybe save money, or what you may need to purchase to make yourself feel more comfortable right now, something that you need, right? And looking at everything that you have right now and the abundance that still surrounds you at this time. Also looking at what we do with our money that makes us feel better about ourselves and not worse. Cancer rising, this is your new moon. It's in your first house of the self, okay? So this is really a nice new moon for you to set intentions for the next year even, just about what you want to bring out into the world, what you want to bring out for yourself. Again, this is a great time to do any type of internal work, anything physical even. If you wanted to lose 15 pounds or start a cleanse, you're going to feel more motivated to do that now as this new moon's in your first house. Again, the first house is physical. It's the self, it's the body, it's the face, it's everything. But more importantly than that, it's also your energy. So you may want to start, looking at the way you behave in certain situations and deciding that you want to change that or change some habits. And this is a really good new moon for you, Cancer, for a facelift, not literally. Although if you wanted one, that's, again, it's the face, the first house, but it's like a spiritual facelift for you, Cancer. Leo rising, this new moon takes place in your 12th house. So this is behind the scenes, tucked away, a very internal space for you right now, Leo. You're probably going to be very self-reflective here, very reflective, going inward. Really good time for you to get near the water to clear your mind, okay? To clear your heart, to clear your soul. You've been going through a lot. The Leo rising, you've been definitely going through a lot, and your relationships have been coming up, very difficult for you. So this is probably something that no one else would see, right? Because the 12th house is it's internal, okay? It's very closed off. It's behind the scenes. You've probably been dealing with some endings of sorts and things that still need closure. And so this new moon, you can really work with this energy to help you to gain closure about an emotional situation in your life, Leo. Virgo rising, this new moon's in your 11th house of community and groups and online, digital. Also, friendships fall in the 11th house, Virgo. So for you, this is a great new moon to get out there and make more friends, make new friends, join a new group, do some sort of passion project that involves humanitarian rights, helping other people, charity work even. Really great new moon for that. Libra rising, this new moon takes place in your 10th house, your professional space, the house of your career and your reputation out in the world. So this is a really great new moon for you, for this Libra, for anything having to do with your job or any new projects that you would like to pursue or putting things out, if there's publishing or anything of that nature. This is a really great new moon for you for that, Libra. Scorpio rising, this new moon takes place for you in the 9th house of long distance travel and also truth and justice and faith. It's also our belief systems. It's also politics. It's religion. There's many things that fall under the 9th house. Education falls under the 9th house. So for any of you Scorpio rising that want to go on a long trip, foreign travel, really nice time to put some plans into action for that. Or for publishing, for finding out the truth, for digging into the truth, philosophy, anything of that nature. It's a great new moon for you for that, Scorpio rising. Sagittarius rising, this new moon takes place in your 8th house. The 8th house is all about the deep stuff. This is very psychologically driven. This is about death. This is about sex. This is about money. This is about joint finances, things that we share with others. This is bonding. Very, very deep. So having the new moon here, you're going to be hit with waves of nostalgia, probably about relationships from the past, situations from the past, things that you may still need to recover and or heal from. Sagittarius is pretty fancy free and they like to have fun and they're usually very lighthearted, but this new moon may bring up something for you that shows a place where you still need to heal emotionally. And you're going to feel compelled to really go there, Sagittarius. And I'm going to encourage you to do so because it's only going to help you. Capricorn rising, this new moon will take place in your 7th house of partnership. Partnership of all kinds, romantic, professional, platonic, marital. And so having a new moon in the 7th house is great for any type of partnership work that you're doing. If you're looking to sign a contract with a new business partner, if you're looking to get married, whatever it is, great new moon for the fertility aspect, the abundance aspect when it comes to partnership. Aquarius rising, this new moon will take place in your 6th house of daily habits, routines, and health, right? Also our service, what we do out in the world on the regular. And so having a new moon here could find us doing a facelift to these areas of life. A new health routine, a new fitness routine, a new routine for work, changing things up a little bit so it's not just the same humdrum. Perhaps you want to start looking for a new job. Great time for any of those areas of life for you, Aquarius rising. And Pisces rising, this new moon takes place for you in your 5th house of creativity and love and children. And so let me stress, it's a Cancer new moon. Cancer is a water sign. Pisces, your new moon falls in the 5th house of children and creative projects. So this is a very fertile new moon for you, Pisces, especially. It's fertile for everybody, but fertile for you too, because again, if you're looking to have a baby, if your baby is your project, your book, your job, whatever it is, awesome new moon for growth, for the new. If you're looking for a new romantic partner, again, this new moon could bring in a potential goodie for you, Pisces rising. It's great with the 5th house new moon for creative work. So that is your quick little reading by rising sign. Now, if you don't know your rising sign, you can follow those for your sun sign, but it's going to be more accurate by your rising sign. All right, let's get a tarot card for the new moon. Judgments. Okay, so judgment is the curtain call. Judgment shows us that we need to deliver at this point. We've been woken up. Something has been brought to our attention that we cannot go back from. We cannot unsee what we have seen, right? We cannot unlearn what we have learned. We can only move forward, and we're at points in our lives that are crossroads where we've heard the call, and now it's up to us how we rise up in whatever area of life this new moon falls for you. And judgment is a big energy. So we are under big energy right now. And again, like I mentioned, and I'll come back with more videos on this, but as we get towards the end of July, there's a big emphasis on destiny, future for us, not only as the collective, but individually. And judgment speaks to that. So there's going to be a lot of things that come up. So pay very close attention, specifically over the next 8 weeks, okay, 6 to 8 weeks, about what is shown to you. And a big theme, and I have to mention this, and I've talked about this before, is the snake, okay? The snake shedding its skin. And the other thing is snakes revealing themselves to us. Now, what I mean by that is we cannot unsee the true colors of people, places, and situations once we've seen them. And we can try to gloss over them and make them and paint them a prettier color and, move away from it because it's too painful. But when judgment comes calling, how many times do you have to be shown the same thing in a different form before you will recognize that you need to move forward from something, okay? And so that's what judgment speaks to. And this time period that we're under, yes, there's a lot of good here. There's also a lot of stress that's present. And we can't err towards too much of thinking like, oh, everything's fine, everything's great, when we already have been shown things that are not. So we need to remain very mindful under this energy and make sure that whoever's in your boat is not drilling holes. There's a lot of that going on right now too. So again, be mindful, stick with those that are like sunlight, stick with those that have a piece of your soul, that are good for your soul and you're good for their soul, and genuine connections, all very important. Again, there's just a lot going on right now and everyone is feeling it. So take really good care of yourselves, and I will be back with another video for July. Bye, guys.